space available in the front yard to make the turn for the exit. Plan C, which is the staff recommended approval plan, where it has a hammerhead in the front of the previously approved entry, where Ms. Williams has stated there will be some additional landscaping installed. And this is Plan Z, the hammerhead off the existing drive tying into a walkway to the previously approved entry. And I will leave the screen on Plan C, which is the staff proposed approval.
Doesn't look like the applicant is here, right? No, I'm sorry. Ms. Williams, please come forward and state what you're trying to do with your driveway.
Okay, I'm Christy Williams. I'm 2485 Liberty, and I've been before you before. I'll do a caveat. I believe that Liberty is becoming more like Lucas. It's very busy. It's not that easy to back off. That's this whole purpose. I've got to be able to drive off in a forward motion. So someday, if not today, I do hope that in the future I think circle drives are historically oriented to this time period, and I hope someday you'll be able to approve that. In the meantime, I've adapted my mind so I can go with Plan C, and I've talked to the engineer department, and the fig tree and the ligustrum will be taken out. They're not doing too well after this heat anyway. And so you can see the drive with the hammerhead to where I can turn around and then exit the property going forward. And I'll be happy with that.
All right, any questions for Ms. Williams?
So you prefer to come out of this doorway in Plan C instead of your existing
Plan
doorway?
C, that is a front door. That is an actual door on the left side. There's two doors to the property. That is a door, front door. And the porch has already been approved. I'm working on getting that.
So
see that door
you
back
enter
there?
into that door now?
That will be an entrance also. It's a 2-entrance home.
This is the business. This is where your business is.
No. This is my home.
That's your home.
This is my home. My business is 3 doors down, and it's this one.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
And this has a double drive circle, which is one of my 10 pictures that I proposed for you guys to look at. There are a lot of circle drives in the area.
So
I'll be okay with the
got a question for
Plan
the
C.
staff. I mean, so now this home will have 2 driveways,
Yes, sir.
and so and this old driveway will still be used, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you
Well,
still-
I'm assuming Miss Williams would still use
yeah,
it.
I mean, it's still going to be used. Am I correct?
This is my main drive right here. The other one
Right.
is simply to be able to pull in and turn back around and leave, so I can do that easier. Where the difference of Plan Z is it's in front of the house, and I would rather not like that. I would rather not.
So that is my question. On Plan Z, why do you have the sidewalk going to that side entrance? You just couldn't use your,
Well,
like you
instead
have the
of
hammerhead and not the sidewalk.
the sidewalk was proposed to go into the sidewalk. I mean, that walk was proposed to go into the existing sidewalk, and I just had it go into both. So in case they're trying to get to the other side of the property, it's the same going into a sidewalk. I just moved it a few feet. That's all. I just thought it looked better.
I guess my question that I'm
Made no
trying
sense.
to get my understanding is the old driveway, will you not use it
Oh,
anymore?
no, we're going to definitely use it. I
So
got
you're
to.
still going to have the same problem if you use that driveway, right?
Well, they said I would have to use a hammerhead off of my property, which would be right in front of the house, and that's the big code 97. They don't want anything in front of the house. So I said, well, if you're going to approve Z in front of the house, I would rather have it behind that tree. There's a real pretty tulip tree is what I call it. It's a type of magnolia. I can get that hammerhead on. Flip this. See, I did talk to the builder of the concrete, and we're going to try to camouflage that to where you're not as seeing it, where you can have some landscaping there and the tulip tree. It'll look much more aesthetically beautiful. I'd rather have the hammerhead on the left than the right. I don't really want to. Well, actually, the next door neighbors, I did show that picture. This is the neighbor with the hammerhead in front of their house. It's very ugly to me, and so I don't want anybody tempted to park there anyway. But so I'm going to take these trees out, and I talked with Mr. Cooley, lives here, Rodney Cooley, and he's fine with my driveway here, so it'll make his exiting easier too, I guess.
So, excuse me, Ms. Williams, you have a garage apartment in the back?
I do have one that's existing with my house.
Okay, so you have that occupied, or?
No, but in case that I ever wanted to have use of that, I do have one drive.
Yeah, so
So it just
that
needs to have access to that at some point anyway.
I see.
That comes with the house.
And so they're gonna have to knock up the sidewalk and knock down the curb as well, right?
That curb will be cut to where the drive will come right out. You're looking right at it. That's going to be made smooth and at the right angle. We'll have the existing angle of the sidewalk will stay there, and then we'll just have that hammerhead go up behind the. You can see that tree on the corner. That's an azalea, tulip tree is what I call it. And I'm going to add some landscaping to try to make it not as noticeable. It's just an aesthetic thing. You're having a funny face. What does that mean?
I just think that when we began making these kind of moves, we already got a couple of them in Old Town, that when others are ready to make their changes, they drive through Old Town to see who all has been allowed to do what. And we get others coming back making the request as well, because
I do. That's why I do think it's important to realize Liberty is not like any of the other streets. It's extremely busy. It's constant.
It is.
And I think there needs to be some parameters for people that live there.
Yeah.
And I'm still recovering from my Guillain-Barré issue. And I feel like there needs to be, I've been here 30 years. I want to be here another 25. I need to have some ability to leave the property where I'm not going to back out on that. It's very dangerous.
No, I understand you there. I really, truly do.
And I don't see on Lucas, I mean, I've driven by there recently, and there's like about 6 new circles, and they're pretty. I don't necessarily see cars parking. I do see it's a drive, because it's a very busy street. I think Liberty's going to become that before too long. I mean, we could always do the circle.
Yeah. We, I'm sure when the neighborhood was developed, traffic was not an issue.
Yeah.
But now it is, and there are others that live on those streets as well, and it just seems like we'll be approving circular drives because everybody would love to have more parking space. So I don't know.
All right, any other questions for Ms. Williams? Thank you, Ms. Williams. We appreciate you. All right, I'll open it up for discussion on commission.
Is there a particular slide commission would like to have on their screens?
Excuse me?
A particular slide that y'all want to look at while you're discussing? Okay.
Most of us have it right here too, so. All right, no discussion, I'll ask for a motion. Okay.
I'm sorry, could you please turn on your microphone? Thank you. If it was a duplex, and I could see that you would need the 2 driveways and adding more concrete. So I see the pretty yard and the grass and everything, and then now we're gonna just have more concrete. So then I think there'd be less concrete to have the circular driveway. From what I'm seeing of the drawing, I don't know if the proportions would be the same.
So in speaking with our engineering department, they did not feel that it was safe or plausible to make that turn.
Okay. It's safer for the
Essentially, they would have to
hammerhead.
back all the way out into the apron and then turn, if that was their plan, to be able to back down the driveway and turn in that forward motion. Additionally, they said that taking that turn into that property, even immediately turning into the Circle Drive, with the available distance in the front yard from because they could not connect to the sidewalk. It would have to be separated, and that turn would just be immensely sharp, and they said not necessarily feasible.
The entrance, she's got it right at the
Right.
sidewalk, so it'd be farther back here. Let's just take out all the front yard.
I guess we need to have a discussion, like how many people are for C or Z, or, I mean, or do we just make a motion on one, and if you're not for that, you vote against it?
I've got a question for staff. I know in the past, we've denied circle driveways,
Yes, ma'am.
and there's the big thing about parking in the yard.
Yes, ma'am.
So have we made any previous decisions or votes before on this type,
So
Z driveways? Because I know it's going to come up again that we let so-and-so.
yes, ma'am. Most of the time when there is a hammerhead installed, it has been installed without permits and it comes before you after it's already been
Okay.
placed. Now, previously on Liberty, there was a request for a hammerhead in 2017.
And what did we do?
We denied, or commission denied that request.
Okay.
With one of the reasonings being that it jutted out in front of the structure. And it was essentially the same request. A gentleman wanted his wife to be able to back out, turn around, and exit their property in a forward motion. But because of the large discussion was in the
The
future,
location.
the location of the pad, and in 20 years down the road, if they sold the house, the new owners of the house using it as a parking versus a turnaround.
Right. Right. Okay.
And I think last time you read the code for this, can you reread the code for that?
Bear with me just a second.
While you're looking for that, I don't believe that zoning or streets or the code restricts someone from having more than one driveway onto their property.
Correct. The
So that's-
only,
That's there. I mean, when
The
you
only
buy the house, you buy the codes, things with it. So, I know that maybe it's not something that I'd want to do, put two driveways, but really if it's allowed, then you can put two driveways if it's allowed.
as far as the number of driveways, the only requirement is through the engineering department, and they must be at least 20 feet apart. And that is their requirement. So one property, if they have 400 feet of street frontage, they could have multiple entrances, just as long as those driveways are 20 feet apart to allow for enters and exits on both sides. No, so it's completely separate. It's within one property. Because a lot of the neighborhoods are already built nowadays in new subdivisions. Yes, that is something that our engineering department does look at. But within existing developments, it's hard to limit those. In regards to our historic district ordinance, I'm going to read two separate portions of the ordinance. It says, in general, all off-street parking, whether used to fulfill minimum parking requirements or excess parking, must be provided on the lot occupied by the primary use or on a separate lot located within 100 feet of said property. All off-street parking must be set back along street frontages, not less than the required yard setback, or as far back as the front immediately adjacent buildings, whichever is greater. Essentially stating that the driveway should come through, but the car should park past the front of the structure. The second part of that is parking in front or side yards. Within front or side yards, off-street surface parking is not permitted on grassed areas. Said grassed areas may not be paved or otherwise destroyed without a certificate of appropriateness. Vehicles may only be parked on paved surfaces.
Now, they're parking on this new lot, they're out there, they're parking in the yard.
Well, but the parking is occurring past the front of the house. So it is beyond the parking area, not the hammerhead. That's the turnaround. The parking area is beyond the front of the house.
See, I can see when she's parking here, she's gonna come in, turn to the right and park on the hammerhead, and then when she leaves, she's gonna back up and then pull out. So I'm thinking she's gonna park on that hammerhead part more than she's gonna park facing the house.
Well, the hammerhead would have to be up beyond the face of the house. If the hammerhead is not beyond the face of the house, then you can't park in it.
Okay.
And one thing, so that you can see it to scale and make a difference to all of you, you'll see on the plan of the house, you see it says 22.7 feet. That's from the front of the house to where the house turns back at this 3'1". Normally for a car, it takes 20 feet to park a car. So this drawing actually, this parking place would need to be back, or the back of it be back there almost at where the 3'1" step back is in the house. If it was drawn to scale, this is just a sketch. It's not really drawn to
It
scale.
would come all the way back to here.
Yeah, so are you saying they need to relocate it?
Well, no, I'm saying if you're going to build it and the car is going to be parked beyond the front of the house,
Right?
This pad's gonna come all.
most parking spaces are 20 feet deep. Now, not everybody drives a car that's 20 feet long. But I think that you'll end up with almost no sidewalk there, that the parking place is going to be back somewhere along that 3.1 line.
When I drew that, I was in my head just making an estimate. I've talked to the concrete guy, and you see where there's a tiny little tree? The drive's going to go all the way up to that, maybe even. So it's going to be very close to that step. So I know that's going to, in fact, now that I've heard your numbers, I'll make sure I'll have 20
just
feet
need-
from the front to the back, and that will be definitely
The car has to park behind the front of the house.
yeah, and that's the front of the house. You see it right there. It is behind. Even the
If I
hammerhead
was
is behind.
parking, if I was driving in there and parking in my Expedition, my tail end of my car would be beyond the front of the house.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have that driveway go further back, and I don't own an Expedition.
So your
But I'll take care of
your
that.
parking space needs to be 20 feet deep,
Okay,
okay? And that's
We
got to
can do
be
that.
behind the front of the house.
that can be done.
So that's why I was saying, you've got 22.7 feet from the front of the house to where it steps back.
And so, see,
So-
that's a porch. Where it goes over, that's a porch that's been approved. And this is going to come real close up to that 3. It's over to the left, so it's going to be very close to that 3-step
You will
off the
be
porch.
non-compliant if the car is not parked beyond the front of the house at any time, even
Okay.
visitors coming with Expeditions. Okay, so
best I can.
the depth of a parking space is 20 feet. So your parking space has to start from the front of the house, has to go back 20 feet. And you have 22 feet 7 inches. So on this drawing, it's not shown correctly.
It's not shown correctly, correct.
Right.
I did
So
not draw it
the
correctly.
back of this parking place is going to be
It's really
closer
going to go
to
further
even
back.
with that porch.
Yeah, it's pretty much going to be even with it. That makes sense.
Okay,
Got it, can do.
thank you.
Back one, please.
Oh.
Okay, that's where the parking's gonna go back in this corner. It's gonna fill up that, pretty much that whole corner in there.
The bushes are coming out. All that ligustrum coming out.
C.
Yes, C and Z, the city engineer has both said that would be feasible, yes. Plan B for the circle drive, they say is not feasible for turning radius.
Can you show Z one more time?
Yes, ma'am.
See, I think you just made your whole front yard concrete.
Yeah.
So I think C is really, that's the way to go.
Okay.
That's what my question was. What is the purpose? If she does with Z, what's the purpose of having the walkway to this front door that you've never used before, but now you want to use that
want to be able to not. It's just for us, really.
She's building a new porch right here. That's what that is.
And just additionally, the walkway was previously approved. It was part of the approval at the last meeting. Extending the walkway from the porch to the existing sidewalk, not a tie-in to a circular drive that was previously requested.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we approve Plan C of PZ 2023-366 pending the staff ensuring that that 20-foot easement is behind the front of the house.
Okay, so just so I'm taking my notes correctly, it's a approval with the condition of that the parking pad, the 20-foot of parking pad be behind the front of the house. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, we'll take a roll call vote, please.
Chairman LaBeige,
For.
Commissioner Avery, Commissioner Bell, Commissioner Berube,
Against.
Commissioner Crawford, Commissioner Goodness, Commissioner Kelly,
Against.
Commissioner Macon,
Or
Commissioner Templeton.
4.
Thank you.
Can we have a? Four. All right. Ms. Williams, you can move forward with your Plan C. All right, we'll move on to our Historic District Code Enforcement Report.
Good afternoon. Ms. Pache is out today. Reading her monthly report, she has 8 new historic violations, 2 new junk motor vehicle violations, 2 junk motor vehicle re-inspections, 1 JV tagged for removal, 3 new litter violations, 20 litter re-inspections, 9 new weed violations, 70 weed re-inspections, 17 city cuts, 3 owner compliance cuts, 1 zoning reinspection, for a total of 136 inspections for the month of August.
She's staying busy.
she is.
Well, please tell her from the commission that we appreciate her work and we appreciate what she does for us in the city.
Yes, sir.
All right, under other business, we've got an item here, discuss security presence for future public hearings. This is going to be recorded so that the city manager can listen to everyone's concerns.
Yes, sir. So just a quick comment, and then we can have an open discussion. After reflecting on the conduct of recent attendees of the meetings, the question of security being necessary at the meetings was brought up. At this time, we'd like to allow for an open discussion of commissioners. If you feel the security should be present at meetings, and if so, to what extent? Would you like security present at every meeting when we have hot items? Is there a set way that you would like to go about this, if you would like to go about this at all?
Well, my comment is from the incident from last month. And I'm not sure how we choose which meetings that we need security, but we definitely needed security last month. So however you determine hot subjects or hot meetings are, I definitely think we need security in here. And also to know how to turn off the mic. But there's got to be a way to control the speakers who get completely out of hand and are verbally abusive.
Okay.
Hostile.
Can you I wasn't here last meeting.
Oh, you missed it.
Oh, so what happened?
Well, I was
Go ahead
here.
and take it.
Well, I was here, and my question is, I mean, have we had this type of incidents before?
No.
This is the first time. Yeah. I mean, I know how people can kind of get, emotional and what have you. But at the same time, I think our police officers, if need to be doing something other than, then they have to stand here with us until we can really determine that that's something that really is needed. Like you said, if we can learn how to cut off the mic, that might quiet them down a little bit.
It didn't help him.
Yeah,
Turn it off the mic.
No, ma'am. So there used to be, but post-COVID, we have not had a present security officer
Yeah,
at City
even
Hall.
if we had someone in the lobby.
yeah, I
But I
think that would
mean,
be.
I was told, Christina and I were out in the parking lot, and John Stone, the firefighter who was here, said, Linda Kay, I'm not leaving until I follow you home or to your office, because he was out in the parking lot, doing this and
Yeah.
pointing at me. So, no, I don't feel secure with that. And if we need a police officer inside, they're happy to do it, because we don't want any incident. Hey, we only do criminal law at my office. We don't need a shooting out in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's true too.
Okay?
And I guess
I
it
feel
is just
very
once a
strongly
month.
about that.
It's once a month, so that might be plausible.
Yeah, and I agree on the turning off the mic because he was not being respectful of the order of the meeting.
No.
And he was
So,
not,
Mr. LaBeach, if you look by your mic, there should be 2 buttons by you. So if you'll see the podium mic is on, there should be, there you go, it's
Oh,
red.
there you are.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So you didn't know about the shut-off.
Well, I was asking him, I said, where's the,
well, and
turn
I
off
think,
Yeah, she didn't
yeah,
know.
and I think she had pressed it a number of times, and the citizen just happened to be very loud.
Yeah.
very,
Yeah.
A room this size, you
yeah.
No.
yeah.
don't need a microphone.
Yeah.
So I think it would be, I think it would probably be appropriate just to have somebody in the lobby, but they would, if they're in the lobby, they're going to be available if they're needed.
And we can always take a look at our agendas, and if we know it's something that has not a change of a window, that's, it's just one item, we don't have to request. It is something that we do have to request ahead of time. So if we can look at our agenda and know that we're not tearing down someone's house, we're not voting to change someone's livelihood, we can have that discussion outside of it,
Or building apartment complexes.
or building apartment complexes.
Or if we know there's going to be a lot of people, protesters, or people who are going to be here with opinions.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah.
Everybody, if you ever have a chance, I'm in the middle of the Police Citizens Academy right now. It's free to go to, and it tells you all about the city. And you may or may not know this, but right now, we have 12 patrolmen for the city. Patrolmen that are working right now. Now, it's not traffic, it's just our patrolmen.
Right.
So that's the kind of person that you need for this deal. I'm just wondering if there's somebody at the police department that can be called so that we can all stay here, have that officer come over in the event of an incident, so that we have sort of a protocol. So if we have somebody that starts getting irate, our staff can notify somebody at the,
So previously, we
someone
did have
called them.
a dedicated downtown officer. And again, at one point, that officer has left. He has joined a different division. Things have moved around. As you know, we're always constantly hiring for our police officers. We do not have a dedicated downtown officer. Now, previously, we have had a detective who had a free hour come sit with us for a meeting. So we've had a number of times where it's not necessarily one police officer. It is whoever may be available.
Well, as I was leaving, I mean, someone called them because as I was leaving, they flooded in here. So someone did call them.
well, we do have one officer that's for here downtown, but to have somebody here, and I know that it's important.
Yeah.
I want all of you to be safe, and I'm happy to walk anybody out that doesn't feel safe. But you're going to have to pay that officer an hourly rate to be here, because it's going to have to be an off-duty officer that comes in, particularly for our meeting. Do we have one at the city council meeting?
Yes, there's always an officer to 2 officers
Okay.
present.
So we have one there. So, I mean, if that can be worked out, otherwise a protocol of how to get somebody here, or at least that the the patrolman assigned to this precinct here knows that on this date and at this time, we have this meeting, and we've had irate people before. So on our day, be aware that we'd like you to kind of stay close to City Hall.
Is
to
it
help us.
possible that, because it seems that we don't use a particular protocol for them to speak. I mean, just as something as simple as having them sign up, sometimes those types of things can kind of, when you got to sign your name and,
Well, that's why everybody that comes to that mic, I tell them that they have to speak their name and their address for our record. So everybody that speaks there, we should have their
no,
name
I got
and their
that, but I'm
address.
saying the fact that they would have to sign up and write their name and write their address,
She does.
Yeah.
Yes,
She
we
does
do.
all
We do
these-
that. Miss Susan has a form that everyone has to sign before they speak.
The ladies that were here to speak on the first one, they signed up on that table before they came in. So we do have them, and then the other people are already in our record.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. I thought he just walked up to the podium. I wasn't aware that anybody called him up or something like that. Yeah.
And then just so y'all are, typically whenever we have meetings, there is someone upstairs also watching with us. Now, they may not be able to get a complete read on how things are actually down here. Because I know whenever these meetings are live, like right now, Demi, who's not able to be here today, she is upstairs watching and listening as she's working, because that is part of how we trade off to make sure that somebody's pulling things if needed for necessary meetings. So that's typically, I guess, our kind of backup, as Miss Susan and I aren't on our phones during the meetings.
Okay, so she's listening as well.
Yes.
Oh, well, she can see and hear
But
what's going
that
on.
doesn't mean she stays there, because right now there is only 2 of us in the department. So if she gets called to the counter to assist a citizen, she may not see the entirety.
Yeah.
I don't think,
And we don't have a panic, nobody's got a panic button anywhere.
Sir.
That's what I was asking. There's no city things that you have any
Yeah, because
protocol that anything happens?
in terms of, even if you had found the mic off button,
No, he would have.
he was
Right. He was gonna, he
he's
definitely
not
was.
going to stop. So
And it's funny that I wasn't here. That was the first day of school for me. But when the second guy left, he had a kind of a weird look. And I don't know if anyone noticed that. It wasn't anything bad, but I just had that feeling. I didn't know what happened last month. I'm like, and I just kind of went through, I'm like, what if we walk out of here and someone's not happy what happened because we denied something?
Well, they're gonna be unhappy when we deny things.
never know what's
They're
gonna
gonna be
trigger.
unhappy,
I think
you
it's
might-
necessary to have a policeman here every time. I just think that
No, I
we
don't think so
need
either.
to have a plan.
Yeah,
Yeah, a
exactly.
plan.
It happens, and we know that you guys are going to call somebody. Or do something.
But like I said, someone called because they rolled in here.
Really?
Oh, yeah, about 3 police officers
Well, I was
pulling up as I was
asking, do we
leaving.
have security?
Yeah.
And if you
Because he
have
was
not-
out of control.
Yeah.
if you haven't had a chance and you were not present for the last meeting, all of our meetings are recorded and you can watch them all on YouTube on our city government page. If you'd like to kind of review what did happen if you weren't here to see it.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The time frame that a citizen is allowed to speak on any item, I assume city council has a time limit?
3 minutes.
So city council does have a time limit of 3 minutes. As of now, there's not a protocol or bylaw or set for this commission. If that is
I'm
something
on
y'all would
Planning
like
and
to
Zoning
enact.
Commission, and it's 3 minutes.
Yeah.
That's it. And then you're asked to step back.
So what would be necessary for us to have a protocol of 3 minutes?
So we could we're already looking into doing some ordinance amendments, because there are a number of things in our ordinance that do contradict each other that we are looking to revise. We can add that into our ordinance revision to allow a 3-minute.
Well, that would be consistent with the other meetings, and perhaps, you give somebody time to explain how they feel, but you don't want to give them more time than you give the other people.
Right.
And that would
right.
be a consistent way of saying, thank you for your comments and you've exceeded your time.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, and for the benefit of those who weren't here last month when that happened, we voted the way the guy wanted, and he was still irate.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it didn't
Wasn't a denial.
So he was mad at the world.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You think we could,
Well, he's,
we could ask the city manager for a protocol, for a safety protocol for this group?
Yes, sir.
Whatever it is, whether it's you call or whom, when something gets out of hand, so that we do have that in place.
Yes,
I
sir.
think everybody will feel a lot better if we have something in place and you know exactly who to call. When you call them, they know we got a problem.
Absolutely.
and perhaps, I guess, because the issue was that it was a home that was on their street, next to their home. It seems that the city is going to tear it down, but I guess they got to go through a lot of legal whatever. And I guess he probably really wanted it, to know that it was going to be done expediently and right away.
Yeah.
And so,
But he was saying things that were
He-
untruthful.
And he's a
Yeah.
bully.
yeah, I got
He
you.
lives on the end of my street. He's a bully.
I got you.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he was out of control.
Yeah, I got you. But establishing some type of protocol, I think, would at least give them some kind of little restriction, as they understand that we do have a protocol that is not a free fall.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I think if we did that much, that would help quite a bit.
A time restriction would help, just
Yeah,
setting that expectation.
yeah.
All right, any other discussion?
I miss all the fun.
Being there, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for your time and appreciate all of your input.